5 things you can expect to see through the course of the next weeks and months on this channel. Let's go back to the script. All right, let's get back to our list of 5. This next list is what you can expect to see on this channel. Well, number 1, of course, is discussions of Romans. We'll talk about Romans exegesis, the interpretation of the letter, and how to read it. Yes, theologically, yes, historically, yes, ecclesiastically, but more importantly for this channel, I want to look at it rhetorically. The idea being, what argument was Paul working and trying to convince his audience of? And there are definitely sub-arguments within the letter, but what's the grand argument? What's the main point that he's trying to get across? And you'll see as we go through this that while it's worthwhile to look at the theological aspects and to look at the historical aspects, if you don't understand the argument, then you don't understand really what Paul was trying to communicate. And a big part of that is the people involved, who he was talking to, who he was talking about. So again, all things Romans. We'll talk about other commentators on Romans, scholars who and what their views are on Romans in general, maybe about the things that I'm proposing, and again, we'll look at how Romans has impacted our current day, how it's been received throughout the last 2 millennia. Pretty much anything is fair game. All right, beyond Romans, number 2, New Testament. I already talked about how, again, as Christians, we learn how to interpret Scripture with Scripture. This is kind of a concrete version of that. We're using Romans to investigate the other books of the New Testament, and we're using the other books of the New Testament to investigate Romans and talk about those intertextualities. Number 3, Old Testament. Again, same as the New, from a perspective of being able to use Romans as a key for understanding the Old Testament, and vice versa, using the Old Testament as a key to understand Romans. Number 4, we'll look at extra-biblical texts, and this is pretty much everything outside of the Bible. First century texts from secular writers, from Christian writers, from Jewish writers, other texts from the first century onward that talk about the reception of Romans. Origen being the earliest commentary that we have, complete commentary on the book of Romans. We'll even look at other texts that are pre-first century that may inform how we read Romans and how we understand the Second Temple Judaism period, from the building of the Second Temple and that period up through the destruction in AD 70. All right, number 5, last one. This is one I call big ideas, and it's basically, what is the big idea? And so I hope to share over a course of videos with you a number of different big ideas. We may cover one big idea that goes for a number of videos because it's a big idea. So we need to dig into what that really means. And so what are those overarching themes that help us understand either what's going on in the book, or, again, heading the other direction, what things do we find in Romans that then help us understand the big ideas either of the past or of our present day? And with that, I'll finish this video with the first big idea. To do this one, though, we're going to have to go to the board. Okay, here's the first big idea for Romans Redux. Now, if you've studied Romans at all, you know that the Romans 1:16 is often tagged as the theme verse for the entire letter. For I'm not ashamed of the gospel, for it's the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, or to everyone who has faith, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. So, a lot of times when we quote that, we leave off that end piece. But we've been taught to believe that when we hear Jew and Greek, that we're talking about all the people in the world. This is just a shorthand for a universal capture, if you will. Okay? So we're also told that in Romans, when we hear Jew, that it's synonymous with Israel. When Paul starts using that name in chapter 9 through 11. In addition, we're told that Greek is synonymous with Gentile. This is kind of the world of people as we know it. Here's the big idea. The theology in Romans is very complex. There's no denying that. But it's made more complex by the fact that we conflate these two and we conflate these two. When in Paul's original first century audience, they understand all four of these terms individually with different meanings and nuances. So, the big idea, Jew does not equal Israel, and Gentile does not equal Greek. And if that's the case, then Jew plus Greek does not equal all the people of the world. It can't. So the question is, what does it equal when Paul says to the Jew first and also to the Greek? Not only in 1:16, but also in chapter 2, verses 9 and 10, and in chapter 3, verse 9, I think it is. And then again in chapter 10, verse 12. He uses that same phrase 5 times throughout the letter. What does this mean? I'm telling you that it's not the whole world. And here's the big whammy. These don't equal each other. These don't equal each other. But these do. And we're going to unpack all that for all 4 of these terms and for many more in the coming weeks on Romans Redux. I hope you join us. Hit subscribe so that you can get notifications from when the next episodes drop. And I'll see you next time.